Well, ladies and gentlemen, the dam just broke. After years of sealed documents, blocked testimony, and quiet backroom handshakes, President Trump has finally ordered the full release of the Epstein files. And within hours of that decision, folks, Washington's political elite started to crack in real time. The first Democrat has already resigned, folks. One of Obama's most powerful allies, Larry Summers, just stepped back from the public life after emails supposedly expose his cozy relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in ways that nobody saw coming. In fact, the panic here, guys, it isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. In fact, inside the White House press room, aides are scrambling. Ana Navarro is on live television, melting down, lashing out in every direction as the Epstein Transparency Act barrels through Congress with overwhelming support. And Democrats on Capitol Hill, they're openly whispering the words that they've denied for years. This could take down people we never thought would fall. Now, make no mistake, guys, this ain't politics as usual. This is not a routine scandal. This is a lot bigger than that. In fact, this is the moment that some of the most powerful people in the Democratic Party, I'm talking Obama era officials, Capitol Hill insiders, media influencers, elite donors, they realize the Epstein cover-up just can't hold anymore. Now, for the first time, Congress is voting to force the release of every non-classified Epstein record within 30 days. And the White House is furious. They're terrified and losing control of the narrative by the minute. Now, Summers is collapsing. Navarro is raging. Democrats are scrambling. Judges, they're being exposed. And the American people, for the first time, may finally see the truth that they've been denied for over a decade. So buckle up, guys, because what you're about to hear tonight, this is not speculation. This is not rumor. This is not partisan spin. These are the documents. These are the resignations. These are the contradictions. And these are the cracks that are forming in the Democratic establishment as the Epstein files erupt into the open. And if the first resignation happened this fast, oh, you better believe that a whole lot more is coming. Hit the like button and subscribe, guys. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know where you're watching from. The entire political storm that we're watching right now began the moment President Trump walked up to the microphone. And he did what no other president before him has ever had the balls or the courage to do. He ordered the immediate, unfiltered, full release of the Epstein files. No delays, no redactions outside, no redactions outside of the victim protection, of course, right? You got to do that, right? But outside of that, no hiding behind judges or agencies. Trump told the American people, you deserve the truth, all of it. Can I get an agreement on that one, right? We deserve the truth. Drop a truth down below, guys. And instantly, Washington felt the floor shift. Reporters froze, staffers panicked, Democrats, they looked like they had seen a ghost because pretty much everybody in this town knows these files don't just contain names. They contain connections, they contain timelines, they contain accountability. President Trump lighting that fuse changes everything, mark my words. And so here's the part that the media refuses to admit, okay? This entire eruption only happened because Democrats tried a sloppy political hit job and it blew up in their faces. Right after their humiliating loss in the Schumer shutdown, House Democrats rushed out these 3 cherry-picked emails from Epstein's estate, hoping to smear Trump. They strutted out to the cameras, kind of like they had uncovered Watergate. But the emails revealed nothing. Really nothing at all. No wrongdoing, no connection, not even a hint of impropriety. It was embarrassing for the Democrats. And that embarrassment pretty much woke up every Republican on the Oversight Committee. And so instead of hurting Trump, Democrats accidentally gave the GOP the perfect excuse to open up the entire vault and unleash everything. Now, it's kind of funny. People put off these safety checks, because everything seems fine, right up until the moment that something goes wrong. Now, don't let your Medicare plan be one of those things. And this is why I partner with Chapter, folks. They give your Medicare coverage a free safety inspection before problems show up. Now, one of our viewers said, I didn't know my risky plan was this risky until Chapter showed me. Now, let me ask you guys, why wait for the alarm to go off, right? Now, most people, they already made the safe call to Chapter at 909-563-8279. The phone number right there at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. Oh, check out this comment from another viewer that messaged me. So Lou Land said, thanks, Ron, for the advice about Chapter. I called and it helped me out a ton. So thanks, buddy. Lou, my man. Glad everything is good for you. All right, let's get back to this chaos that's erupting in Washington, right? So once these Democrats essentially botched their hit job, Republicans didn't just push back. They unleashed total political warfare. I mean, the House Oversight Committee dropped tens of thousands of Epstein emails and messages and travel logs and correspondence, not drips, not leaks, not selective releases. I'm talking about document dumps that are so massive, they hit Washington like some airstrikes. And inside those files was the one thing that Democrats feared the most: direct communication between Epstein and some key Obama era officials, frequently casual and just far too familiar. So all of a sudden, staffers were whispering. They're calling their editors, and Democrats, well, let's just say that the Democrats went silent. You know what I'm saying? So because everyone could see exactly where this was going. Like, this wasn't a political fight anymore. This was exposure, and exposure is a deadly weapon in Washington. And so then it happened. The first Democratic collapse. Larry Summers. This is Barack Obama's former Treasury Secretary. For those who don't remember, former Harvard president, Democrat mega brain, global power player, buckled under the weight of his own emails. Now, the files show him messaging with Epstein regularly, and even worse, asking him for dating advice. What? What in the world? Asking Jeffrey Epstein for dating advice? I can't make this stuff up, guys. So U.S. Treasury Secretary treating a convicted sex offender like a personal consultant? Something ain't adding up here. So this was a political death sentence. Within hours, Summers began stepping back from the public life, resigning from CAP, leaving Yale's budget lab, and ultimately throwing Harvard into damage control. And the real panic wasn't even Summers himself. It was the realization across D.C. that if Summers fell this fast, then others wouldn't survive the next wave. And so as Summers' scandal exploded, Congress, they all of a sudden, they kind of found themselves under some national pressure to act. And for the first time in years at least, the House moved with a stunning unity and an overwhelming force. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, it hit the floor, and Republicans lined up behind it in numbers that the media just wasn't prepared for. In fact, this bill forces the DOJ to release every Epstein-related record within 30 days, redacting only the victims' names. Got to protect the victims, of course, right? And so the Democrats scrambled. They fractured and whispered frantically behind closed doors. Speaker Mike Johnson, he signaled that he would support it, and essentially with clear protections for the victims, of course. But Trump, he didn't hesitate. No, he said the moment it reaches his desk, he's going to sign it immediately. Trump said no delays, no hiding, no escape. But here's where the hypocrisy really becomes undeniable. So while the Democrats parade and celebrate and shouting around this transparency, right? The truth is that 3 federal judges, all appointed by Obama or Clinton, quietly blocked previous attempts to release Epstein grand jury material earlier this year. And you got to ask a question like, why would they do that? They already knew they already knew what was in those files. Mark my words. They already knew. They understood the political danger, and they used the courts to keep everything sealed. But now with the Transparency Act forcing disclosure, their shield is gone. Democrats can't hide behind judicial allies anymore. The safety net, it evaporated overnight. And inside the Capitol, the panic isn't subtle. Staffers are bracing, members are sweating, because once those documents hit daylight, the judges just can't protect anymore. But just when the Democrats thought that Summers was the only fire they had to contain, another spark hit the gasoline. Guys, the Epstein files revealed that Stacey Plaskett, the Democrat delegate from the Virgin Islands and a loud anti-Trump voice during the Michael Cohen hearings, was actively messaging Jeffrey Epstein during that same 2019 hearing. Now, according to the communications, Epstein, he wasn't just watching, he was feeding her questions in real time to use against Michael Cohen. And it gets worse, guys. So Plaskett accepted $30,000 in Epstein-linked money after Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. Add in the maxed out 2016 and 2018 donations, and suddenly Democrats are defending the indefensible, a sitting member of Congress with Epstein to attack Trump. And so if the Plaskett scandal lit a fire, Anna Navarro poured gasoline and jet fuel on top of it. So in a panicked outburst on live television, Navarro tried to downplay the Epstein files, but, by ranting that they were nothing more than some white, rich male secrets, conveniently ignoring the long list of Democrat names that had already been exposed. So the White House itself had to step in and condemn her comments. But the damage was already done. I mean, her meltdown went viral within minutes. Conservative media roasted her, independents rolled their eyes, and even some Democrats just completely shook their heads. Navarro accidentally turned the push for transparency into a national rallying cry, and she made the panic look undeniable. And so while Democrats were busy putting out one fire after another, a new inferno erupted. Now, this time involving Silicon Valley royalty. The Epstein files revealed that Reid Hoffman, the billionaire co-founder of LinkedIn and one of the Democrat Party's most powerful donors, had visited Epstein's island back in 2014. I'm talking years after Epstein's conviction. But even worse than that, Hoffman had scheduled an overnight stay at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse and attended a breakfast with Bill Gates, hosted by Epstein later that same year. Now, if you add to that the $525,000 in Epstein-linked donations facilitated through Hoffman to MIT, and suddenly Democrats weren't just dealing with politicians. They were dealing with unraveling alliances at the very top of big tech. But the biggest shockwaves are coming from the man whose name has been tied to Epstein longer than anybody else. Anybody want to guess? Drop a. Who do you think I'm talking about right now? Who has been tied to Jeffrey Epstein longer than anybody else? I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bill Clinton. Okay. Now, drop a I knew it down below if you knew who I was about to say. These guys, the release files reconfirm what already circulated for years, that Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's jet 26 times, according to official flight logs. Now, Clinton denies ever visiting the island, yet victim testimony claims otherwise. While Ghislaine Maxwell denies the claim in her own testimony, the files now heading for public release may finally settle the contradictions once and for all. So, let me know if you think Clinton was telling the truth all along, or was he lying all along? Now, here's the tension that every strategist in Washington, D.C. is whispering. If Summers collapsed instantly and Plaskett is exploding, then what happens when Clinton's full communications become public, right? Now, here's the part Democrats hoped that nobody would remember. This isn't the first time that Congress tried to release the Epstein files. If you guys remember, earlier this year, Representative Tim Burchett, he forced a vote on December 12th to, actually, it was technically earlier last year, December 12th last year, to bring everything into the light. Democrats blocked it, publicly shouting about transparency while privately slamming the brakes. The optics were horrific. They were horrific. I mean, but today they don't have the power. They don't have the unity or the political cover to pull that move again. Hakeem Jeffries and AOC and Chuck Schumer, they're all at each other's throats. They have no unity right now. Now, with a bipartisan tidal wave forming, the Epstein Files Transparency Act is unstoppable. Even Democrats know it, guys. They can't stop the vote. They can't block the release. They can't hide behind judges anymore. The shield is gone. Now, behind closed doors, Democratic insiders, they're describing the atmosphere as near collapse. Leaks from party staffers painting a very grim picture of a rising dread. Campaign teams are warning their bosses to prepare for sudden resignations. Donor networks are freezing contributions. Academic institutions are reviewing ties, and top analysts, let's just say they're freaking out. You got top strategists gaming out worst case scenarios involving new criminal exposure. And everybody seems to be agreeing on one thing, that Larry Summers was only the beginning. In fact, the party is bracing for more names, for more emails, for more connections, and more fallout. Now, this is not just a political scandal anymore, guys. This is a credibility crisis, a donor crisis, a moral crisis. And the fear is spreading because the files aren't just coming. They're coming fast. So out in the country, far from the DNC panic rooms and the PR war rooms, the American people are speaking with one voice. Release everything. Families of Epstein's victims have sent letters to Congress demanding full transparency, insisting that Epstein's crimes were possible only because powerful people protected him. But that is where this entire story crystallizes into something much bigger than politics. The two-tier justice system, the belief that elites bend the law while everyday Americans face consequences. The Epstein scandal is the perfect symbol of that divide. And now, with Trump in office and Congress finally forced into action, millions feel like, for the first time, the truth might actually overpower the cover-ups. And so let's talk about what's actually keeping Democrat strategists awake at night. Well, it's the timing. So if the Senate passes the Transparency Act as expected, Epstein files will drop within 30 days, meaning the next political earthquake could hit well before the 2026 midterms. Now imagine this, guys. Imagine a tidal wave of emails and travel logs and donor records and communications exposing who knew what and when. Democrats are terrified about this because this isn't a policy disagreement. This is a credibility explosion. Every vulnerable Democrat facing re-election is suddenly staring down a nightmare scenario, running on trust while their party is engulfed in an Epstein firestorm. So meanwhile, President Trump's populist base is re-energized, united, and ready for political war. And basically, as all of this is unfolding, President Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi, they're moving with quiet precision behind the scenes. Trump has already stated publicly and repeatedly that he wants full accountability, no matter how powerful the names are. Now, Pam Bondi's team is now preparing investigative pathways into Reid Hoffman's funding network, Clinton-connected entities, and let's not forget about every donor or institution that was tied to Epstein's financial web. This isn't political revenge. This is legal preparation. Bondi has made it clear, once the files drop, her office will follow the evidence wherever it leads, and this creates a new layer of tension across Washington. For the first time, Democrats realize that this isn't about embarrassment, it is about potential consequences. And so now everything comes down to the countdown. If the Epstein Files Transparency Act clears, the Senate, the DOJ will have 30 days to release everything, thousands of documents, guys, decades old communications, sealed logs, donor records, travel manifests, and files that judges have blocked for years. So the media is on edge. Congress is bracing for resignations. Donors are lawyering up. Universities are preparing statements. You already know way more resignations are coming. And the American people, well, they're watching with a level of anticipation that this country has not felt since the major political revelations of the past decade. Because everybody already knows that this is only phase one. The files drop next, the fallout comes next, and accountability, the kind that elites never expected, it's finally on the horizon. Hit the like button and subscribe, guys. We'll see you guys next time.